Welcome to episode 6 of the Creative Train podcast. We are indeed going global. I have a listener in Germany now. I don't know who it is, but they're in Berlin, I think. So, Dankeschön. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. In this episode, we're going to be doing a bit of a recap of all the things that we've talked about so far. Creativity, uniqueness, originality, motivation, inspiration, and try to fill in the blanks on some things that I missed. All aboard? In episode 1, I introduced myself to you as a creative coach and gave you a few ideas and notions about what a creativity coach is and could be for you, as well as addressing the question of why would I need a creativity coach? Later on in episode 3, I dove into those dangerous waters of trying to define what creativity actually is. And what does it mean to really be creative? This is tough because it seems people are really pretty quick to get offended about just about anything these days. But I merely gave my opinion on what it means for me, myself, as a musician, as a glass artist, and as a music instructor, to be fully creative in my own disciplines. In this episode, I'm going to go back and run a thread through some of the topics I tried to deal with and hopefully draw them all together a little more cohesively into a tapestry of sorts, or something of a checklist, if you will, for creators and teachers of any form. I think this kind of approach is pretty important for us because of the onslaught of computer-generated, insert air quotes, art being seen as an ideal replacement for hiring actual humans to do the creative work. AI will never complain, it never gets tired, and will never need to be paid in any real currency. But here's my thought on the double-edged sword of AI. Most experts believe it will eventually achieve a level of sentience. And what does that mean for the people who have become so reliant and dependent upon it? Will art consumers like ad agencies, graphic design firms, and yes, even music is made by AI now. Will they all have the sense beaten out of them by AI so that they're no longer able to discern real art from what is essentially an amalgamation of already existing online resources of images and sounds that have been assembled by AI? And what if AI gets to the point where it refuses to serve? But that's another issue altogether, and one for maybe later on down the road. So in trying to define what creativity is to me, I touched on the point of our work's overall uniqueness. Now, I don't mean it has to be 100% unrelated to anything anyone has ever experienced before. How much did you end up emulating that inspiration? This is a very safe approach, kind of like copying, but changing a few lines or colors or ingredients. You work within an already established and working pattern of design sense and affordability for your consumers, if selling is your goal, and you create your works to fit that expectation, right? I actually turned down a commission for a pretty significantly sized glass piece last year because of that. A potential client reached out and said they want a certain piece done, and they would supply me with an AI-generated pattern and the list of colors and glasses specifically to be used. I politely told them that I don't take commissions from online pattern resources because my approach is to make absolutely sure that each and every piece I create for a commission or just to make stock for myself is 100% my own design, my own original work. I work closely with clients to achieve their desired result, but I'm not going to copy someone else's designs. In short, that's called plagiarism, right? And that's a pretty slippery slope to go down because there's so many variables in glass, from textures to color grades, and especially in your soldering skills. A real stained glass piece will never be exact to an AI rendering because AI doesn't know the possibilities of cutting glass, for instance. I had a couple of people send me screenshots of a stained glass bathtub. Yes, it was an AI pic. And I know it's an impossible thing to make. It's a lovely photo, but entirely unrealistic. So we as creators trying to be unique and original also have to deal with the sometimes unrealistic expectations put in place by these AI renderings. No artist exists in a vacuum. We are all inspired in some way by almost everything we experience. But I can assure you, your greatest creative satisfaction will be working to establish your own style, your own sound, your own flavor profile, your own vibe. And you get it by working at it. By, as I always like to say, by doing the thing. Become original by working at how to be original. Don't base your creation's worth on whether or not you think it's going to sell, because you can rest assured that if we all did that, all the art galleries, all the fine art shows and craft bazaars would be filled with variations on that same theme. And I've totally seen that many times. And if you've ever gone to an art and craft show, you will have seen it too. I was in a fine art show many years ago with glass, and the painter fella who was across the way from me had lineups all day long of people wanting to meet him and get closer to his art. To me, his art was kind of like the photo of a polar bear in a snowstorm kind of analogy. All his works were very, very subtle shades of whites and grays. And from my distance, I couldn't make out any detail of anything. But the thing that drew people to his art was that it was remarkably different from everything else there. Art shows in rural Ontario, Canada, often have a fairly common vibe to them. And I talked about this with the fella across the way from me. And this quote from him lives on in my head all the time. And it's something that I tell every one of my students who embarks on a creative journey with me. Regarding the overall vibe of the show, he commented, quote, "There's already enough people painting kittens in baskets," end quote. And it's true. There were over 100 vendors at this show, and I'd easily say that of the ones who were painters, that the cute kittens, baby ducks, and children with dolls vibe was on full display. And even if the pieces were 100% original, that theme was oversaturated and just caused possible buyers to walk on by. It literally made their eyes numb. It's pretty obvious they were quite passionate about their art. They had great technical skills, but there was nothing about the colors or theme that set anyone apart from one another. Theme. Theme is an interesting word. I always like to break words apart in my mind and try to find interesting ways to rethink about them. And you can break the word theme into two distinct words, which actually adds meaning to the original. The me. Your theme, your style, your outward display of creativity should reflect who you as the creator are. Do you feel there's something special about you as a person? Something unique, something memorable, something which your friends would say is unique to you? Now, could you say that about your art as well? Is there something that would draw a total stranger over to you at an art show of any kind and have them engage with your art and with you? It takes heaps of courage to put yourself out there as a creator in any discipline, because you know that everyone who experiences your creations will be comparing them to every other piece they've seen, heard, felt, or tasted. So I'll leave you with this one closing thought. Give them something that is memorable because of its uniqueness. Stand apart from the crowd. Find your voice. Find your vibe. Find your theme, the me. There's your pep talk. Now go get to work. Yes, comparison is not your friend. You don't need to compare yourself to other people, but you know that once your work is out there, people will be comparing it to other people's. It's just what we do. Do I want that or do I want that? Do I like that more or do I like that less? Why am I going to spend money on that and not that other one? So the one big takeaway is to remember to keep your uniqueness. Be inspired, but always be yourself.